Hi everyone, welcome back to another creator interview for Reality House. We're joined again by Ant Hagen. Hello, Ant.
Hi guys.
And our guest today is Christian. How are you doing, Christian?
Hi, Alex. Good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Really love all the different types of work you're doing, both in the AR and VR space, and excited to learn about your career to date. So how about we jump straight in and kind of start off there. How did you get into the space, and what's kind of been some of the highlights so far?
Yeah, well, it started a good couple of years ago. So my background is in architecture originally. So we've been dealing with lots of 3D models with that, and some of them are quite large. But actually, my first experience with AR was actually trying to visualize some architects' work. So taking their 3D model and their designs and using an iPad to when you pointed at renders or drawings, that the building would come out the page, and actually just to visualize and spin that, just to try and show people more 3D. I'm very passionate about showing 3D to everyone. I think accessibility to that is absolutely key, something I'm very passionate about. And I think everyone should be able to use it. Like when you're going to buy a trainer, you should be able to see it in 360 degrees before actually by purchasing it. So, and then completely out of the blue, about 2.5 years ago, an agency popped up and said, hey, here's 2 free pieces of software, and we'd actually pay you to produce concepts and actually pitch for the work. And then it turns out that my first sort of social AR client was King, so for Candy Crush, and actually to do a Snapchat lens for them. So that was me jumping into the deep end and learning very quickly how the software works. I mean, I've played around with Unity in the past and some of their AR functionality. So it was nice to actually try sort of a small gaming engine side, and that definitely helped in the learning process. And doing a lot of 3D art beforehand, it was just a way of trying to utilize all that time and effort that goes into a 3D model or a 3D asset, because normally you just do a single render or a sort of just a on rails video animation of it, and then that's it. You don't get to use it. You don't get to see the back of it. You know, you might spend a lot of time doing the full 3D part. So being able to get your artwork out there and for other people to see it is just fantastic. And then it just kind of took off from there, really. I was very lucky to be part of the Instagram private beta. So when it first came about, I'd done one other Facebook filter before that for that agency, and yeah, and then it just, the opportunity came around. I'll give that a go, and then I made one filter for Instagram, published it, and then that was it. I didn't know anything about Instagram. I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't even know how to use hashtags properly. And so nothing really happened for 2 months. And it was just kind of sat there, okay, great, I've done it. Now what? That's,
What was do you remember what that first effect was that you published?
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't optimized. It was just some sort of face thing, and it was just all weird. Kind of a bit like Venom style, but in like a kind of a Phantom of the Opera shaped mask. Really weird. And then nothing really happened. And then for some reason, I decided to do something else. I got inspired. And then my first Instagram effect that did any kind of sort of distance was just light rays coming out of the eyes and the mouth when you open your mouth. And just adding some sort of light effects on the actual face and darken the background and stuff like that. And that actually did quite well. Someone with 1 million followers tried it, and things spiked, and that's when I went, that's this has got potential.
And this is how the game works.
Yeah, this is it. And then this is how it is in stories, and the fact that you can just tap at the top and you can jump straight into an Instagram effect, and how it can spread so quickly. And then, yeah, Instagram just grew from there. I've now done something in the range of about 45 personal effects, loads for brands and clients, and Instagram, and my Instagram page has luckily just been the main source, and it's just been a page of experiments. Just new features come along, right, I'll play with this. anything that inspires me from any direction, just playing around with it, where it's AR, VR, and yeah, it's just been really fun just to play around with it, and I get all my private work from there. It's now a portfolio, and you just get brands messaging you saying, hey, we like what you've done, and some very exciting stuff coming on the way.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive more into the brand stuff shortly, but I want to rewind a bit. In terms of when you first kind of picked up augmented reality, I think it's very interesting that you kind of had experience within the architecture field. Do you think that kind of practice of design and space and all that kind of stuff, did that influence your creation for AR?
100%. And as the technology develops, I think it'll come into play more so, because you're designing an environment, especially if it's a world effect, or even if it's just a selfie effect. You're creating this environment that is either in front or behind the user, if not on them. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you can learn, even just from graphic design, not just architecture and space and how to actually arrange things. That makes a big difference. You can always tell someone who's come from an architectural background.
Because architecture's, I mean, I always remember architecture was one of the first industries to really take on like 360 video, VR, and I always thought that was what the technology was going to be most used for before it kind of went commercial. And it's interesting that there's quite a lot of people, I've come across quite a lot of people who've taken that leap because it did embrace it way before any of the rest of us.
Yeah, I think it was that form and function, right? And I mean, it being used as a utility, but then now actually being you can use that kind of utilitarian function element, but then apply it to something that can be really creative and imaginative, which is kind of cool. Christian, you mentioned, so you kind of was thrown in the deep end for Snapchat and Lens Studio, and then you've created on Spark AR. How did you navigate that as to which platform to use first, and kind of what's that split now?
So yeah, it was really interesting doing a direct comparison. Like one weekend was learning Lens Studio, the next was Spark AR, and it was good to compare, because obviously there are some features that one has that the other doesn't. And what led the draw and what made me go, oh, Spark AR was purely the Instagram beta side of things, and also the online Facebook community. So the Spark AR community page as just so many amazing creators producing some fantastic stuff out there and freely sharing stuff. Like, guys, I've just figured this out. Hey, here's the patches, and off you go. And then you just build off of that, and there's such energy from that. So that's why my focus, my energy went. Now I've done some other stuff with Snapchat as well. So it's definitely sort of 80-20 at this point. I think, and Spectacles got in contact as well and wanted to do something with the cameras on the glasses. There's a bit of depth, and you can actually add certain specific Spectacles lenses to those as well. So that was good fun, and that was good jumping back into Snapchat. But there's some great features in Snapchat that I haven't tried that I'd love to. So, there's all the landmark stuff, and actually being able to go to specific locations and have it anchored to the specific place. That's very interesting, and a lot of people talking about anchoring experiences to specific places, whether it's in a shop or outside in a park, and the best way to do that. So that's currently how it is now, but I'm always looking for other options, and there's also web ARs coming to the space, definitely in the last 6 months to the year, and just seeing what options are out there. I think I'm firmly believe in actually creating high quality content that of high quality asset that you can then place into either platform or route, and actually take it.
Are you allowed to talk in depth about the Snap Spectacles, or are you under any NDA? Because I think I understand how they work, but I don't think a lot of our viewers will understand what exactly the process of developing a lens compared to developing a lens for Snap Spectacles. Do you know what I mean? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people, they're marketed as AR glasses, but they do have 2 cameras on them, but you don't see any augmented reality effects whilst you're using them. They're purely, because they see themselves, they are a camera company, you can just press a button on the side and you'll record your experiences, which is really freeing because your hands free. So taking, the dog for a walk, you can still record whilst you're doing that. And then in terms of actually producing a lens for them, you have a separate template that has a path. So if you get two types of spectacles effects. You get ones that have depth on them. So there's, because it takes the two cameras, some very clever technology to give you a depth map, like a Z depth map, which is sort of a gradient from white to black. And if black is in the background and white is close to you, you can actually have items going behind elements at a certain distance. Say you walked up to a tree, for example, you could have an AR experience of something like a dragon, flying dragon go behind that tree. So, but you have to apply the lens after the recording on the Snapchat app afterwards. So you basically look at your footage, so you record it, recorded, you upload it to your phone, you look at the footage on your phone, you can swipe through a series of lenses that you can add to your footage. So that's the depth one. And then the path one is if you're walking, it knows that you're moving along a path and you can actually set assets along that path and it'll actually move towards, that path will move towards you as you walk through that space. So I actually use the latter, I use the path one where it's basically like a spiraling tunnel. And as you walk forward in the footage, you have the spiraling tunnel, and it kind of obscures a lot of the footage apart from these small sort of gaps in the side. And then as you come out to the end, it opens up and you can actually see sort of the rest of the footage. So it is really interesting, the technology side of things, and where they're going to take it from there.
Yeah, super interesting. Do you think it will evolve to actually having AR experiences whilst you're wearing the glasses? Right now, it's more like a post-production thing.
I think that's what everyone wants, and I think that's what they're working towards. It's just a technological limitation. I think things like 5G and being able to stream a lot of that computing power might be super useful for this. And you'll need to pair it with the phone for the interim for sure. And there are companies working on glasses that are doing this, but they've got sort of the cable running down for now.
Yeah.
I for one, are very excited about that. Yeah.
Looking at the different effects that you create, I mean, there's a lot of kind of inspiration around animals and using metallics. It seems quite fashion forward. Where does that inspiration come from?
Good question. I'll start with what you started with. I mean, I've just personally over the last couple of years taken an interest in more sculptural form. So before the architecture, I was doing more artists stuff. So A-level art, sculpture. Like I did a tiger skull, a one-to-one tiger skull out of clay. And luckily I had the reference and I did the one-to-one. It didn't fit in the kiln, couldn't fire it, and it fell to pieces, fell to dust the next day. But, and then I just kind of, based with everything that's been going on, just sort of going back to the roots and looking at that. So I've been studying and looking at different animal skulls just purely from a form basis. Why are things structured the way they are? How does nature grow that skull to that size? How, why, evolution, etc. Because you look at an anteater skull versus an elephant skull, they're just completely alien, and some of them don't even look like the actual the creature there. So and the metallic side of things, I mean, from the architectural background, one thing I always try to capture with my effects is materiality. So there's a couple of one, I think a sculpture piece for Jack Egan where he provided me the actual sculptural model and a few different types of finishes and some textures, and I really wanted to capture that and actually make it look as realistic as possible. So the metallic side of things is quite easy with the sort of PBR, physical based rendering shaders, to try and emulate that. So
yeah, I was going to say, is it for a metallic surface as an augmented reality effect when you're moving the head, for the light to change and things like that? I mean, is that just something like an easy feature you click on in Spark AR, or is that quite hard to render that?
It's easy to make. I think it's but difficult to master. There's lots of little nuances, and coming from the sort of CGI architectural rendering background, it's all the little scratches, imperfections, like specular, where you're sort of messing with how shiny a surface is, that really starts to add that realism. So definitely passionate about that, and attention to detail. I mean, like, there's plenty of creators, I'm sure you've spoken to them, where they're putting in hidden features in effects or hidden details that you might not necessarily see. So yeah, we all like to put little things in there for those that want to find them. So
you've been working a lot on your personal effects and kind of upskilling yourself in that regard, and then tell me about kind of that initial opportunity or kind of when you started to really kind of be briefed and be working on brand projects, and kind of how was that shift for you?
It's good. It's always interesting. I do like the challenge of trying to squeeze everything into 4 megabytes and make it as optimized as possible, quick loading times. And that's something that having the discussions with the client about what's possible, a lot of the time it's a case of some tend to ask for a lot, and I very quickly come in and say, well, no, these are the boundaries we have to work in. But I love it. I love the challenge. I had a great call yesterday where it's a full storyboard experience with a good 4 or 5 separate stages that all come together and actually tell a story. And I think that's what a lot of effects are going to be, and a lot have been coming out now. So David O'Reilly filters come to mind, where they are full 3D experiences, be it low poly, and there is your face involved, but that's people want to tell a story. Marketing, advertising, it's all stories and how you connect with people, and actually how to communicate. That's all we're doing. It's just another medium and another extension of communication. So,
and I guess a couple of highlights. You worked on an effect for I Am Mother on Netflix, and also Isomatic for Gucci Beauty. How did those opportunities come about?
Purely through Instagram DM.
Brilliant.
it's crazy.
So is that something now you're quite like, for someone that, essentially it's test and learn, and then all of a sudden, the virality of effects, like you have this power at your fingertips and go, oh wow, now you're promoting yourself on Instagram. I mean, did you have to, is it like a playbook, or you just kind of just keep on putting effects out and from a creation standpoint, you're distributing the effects on your own personal Instagram, and then how do you then realize, oh, there's something here, I need to now kind of be professional and work with brands in that way?
Yeah, I think, but just so from a perspective of just putting stuff out there, I think a lot of people do. I mean, I definitely struggle with this. Is it good enough to post? Is it good enough to publish? I mean, I have plenty of unpublished effects and experiments and things like that. I could just stick a few together and there you go. But there's a certain level of quality that I want, and a lot of people, and I know plenty of other people struggle with this as well. But you have to fight against that. I think you honestly need to just put stuff out there, even if it's not that great. You might be doing things that other people aren't, that'll inspire others. It's not just a portfolio for brands for me. I think it has to be, it's also something that, as long as it inspires someone, that's Gravity Sketch. Oh, I've got a Quest 1, I'm gonna try it out. I've not tried that before. I only used VR for games. Now I'm gonna use it as a creation tool. If I can inspire someone to do that and to work and to develop and create and contribute, then yeah, of course, that's great. Currently for the month of October, which is Digital Art Month in New York, 3 of my augmented reality sculptures, the world effects, are actually in New York with 40 other creators, which is fantastic, and it all just sparked with a quick experiment. I had my headset on. I was sculpting in Medium by Adobe, which is just a 3D sculpting sort of in zero gravity. I was just playing around. I really was just playing around with a few brushes, cutting into it, sculpting, and then actually looked at it by the end of it, and it was just half an hour of just messing about, to be honest. I looked at it and went, oh, that's actually not too bad. I'm gonna take this into texture it, sort the materials out, and then I you could export it from Medium in a game format, if you like a low res that's basically optimized for game engines, and it just went straight into Spark, like just like that. And I was like, fantastic. So I published it. I just thought, oh, give it a go, put it out there. And then they messaged me purely because of that piece, because I'd gone out on a whim, and because I'd gone and actually just gone, hey, what's the worst that can happen? I put it out there. If someone doesn't like my work and unfollows me, then fine. It doesn't matter. You know, it's one of those things where the people that do want to join me for this experience and this journey of creation and experimentation, then great. And just these things come from it. And then from that, because Fifth Avenue is one of the streets where basically there's a lamp post with a QR code on, which accesses the Instagram filters. So anyone in New York can just scan it and place that sculpture in their space where they are. Yeah, they did a creator takeover. So I'm now in their stories and did a little interview for them. And talking about it. So it all just cascades, one thing from another, and people get inspired. They see one thing, it leads to the next. I mean, I can pretty much daisy chain the filters going backwards. So things that might have, you know, caught one of the agencies for the Gucci was I did a really good metallic effect, which was like a Valkyrie helmet that had animated wings, and it had over 250 different color combinations, because you could tap different parts of the helmet, and there was 5 different colors on each part. So full customization, and people were creating their own types of helmet, sending it to me. I was reposting it, and it was just amazing. The fact that people actually create their own art from these filters. And I think those things like that catch the eye of people who work for these brands. You know, these brands have lots of people, lots of you know, employees that are on social media in their personal time. You know, they see something they like, people are sharing things, and yeah, that just starts the conversation. So I fully encourage anyone to, even if they think it's only half good, just put it out there.
No, I love that. I think that's some great sentiment there. In terms of, you know, you mentioned AR and you touched on VR. What's it like creating in VR? From conversations I've had with other creators, you know, it seems that you can kind of do it in Spark and stuff. So like, I mean, is it kind of an easy transition for you to do that as a creator, or what kind of made you look at VR as well?
Yeah, I personally I was waiting for a decent standalone VR headset to come out. So when the Quest 1 did, I was straight in. Things like Gravity Sketch and Adobe Medium is just fantastic. Being able to just stand in the space you're in and just create art in front of you based on your hand movements. That's what any designer wants to do. You know, architects want to stand in their building and just push a wall back or raise a ceiling, and being able to actually play around in VR is just incredible. That's been around for years, but now it's become more accessible, easier to use. You don't need cables, what you do for Medium still. And the technology is getting better and better, where you can just export straight from these softwares into a 3D software, texture it, or sometimes you don't even have to texture it. You just do what you need to do, and then it goes straight into Spark, straight up to Instagram. And within the space of an hour, if you're a really quick artist, I'm nowhere near as quick, but there are professionals out there that can do a sculpt in half an hour. It can get textured in 15 minutes, goes into Spark, and in 15 minutes is up on Instagram. You know, that's you know, waiting for it to be reviewed, or you know, you're sharing a testing link to clients. I think the time from creation to actually production is reducing significantly, and that's only going to get better. And I, for one, is you know, efficiency is one of those things. And then there's co-creation tools now as well, where it's not publicly available yet, but you can jump into a space with another person in Gravity Sketch or even Medium and start sculpting and creating together. So artistic collaboration.
Gravity Sketch, is it, where we'll be able to create on the same canvas almost?
Yeah,
that'll be fun. You
can get 6 people in a room currently. It's for businesses only, but the videos online are just looking incredible. They've been doing lots of testing with Ford. So I've been keeping an eye on all of this stuff. It's passion to me. It's the future. Being able to stand in your office and have 5 other people all around the world just creating in the same space, bringing in reference images, doing little sketches, annotating, marking up, actually designing and building something together. Incredible.
That is so cool. I love that. I need to learn more about that. There's we've got an amazing creator part of the community on Elo called Joyworld. And he's got a very unique style, and it's crazy, this stuff. And he there's some videos I'll share with you where he records him creating in real time and kind of how he does it, and it's just absolutely incredible how you literally make this stuff in VR. Very cool.
Out of thin air. It comes out of your head. And the beauty of VR is being able to ideate quickly. Is do one idea, that's okay, copy, paste it, develop it further.
Right.
And then you can have, within very little time, 20 different ideas in front of you. And the hardest thing, and as a designer, this is what you learn, is being able to very quickly be very critical of that work and actually say, right, these 2 are the best ideas. I'm going to merge those. I'm going to continue developing. Being able to knock those bad ideas off, or the least nice ones, is key.
The problem I have with Gravity Sketch is once I'm in there, I can't concentrate because I'm just going like this all the time. It's almost like you need to get past the fact that it's a new tool and go back to actually thinking, well, this is no different from drawing on a piece of paper. Because the first few times you're on it, you're just going, wow, look at this. And then you just end up kind of, and I have tried recently to be like, right, get over the fact that this is a new medium and still try and think about it as just another design tool, really.
It's very difficult. I still now get distracted. There's just so many possibilities. You've got a blank canvas, literally. There is so much you could do, and your mind just goes, oh, but I could do all of this. And your hands can't move faster than your brain can think of them. So you really do have to be quite disciplined, bring in reference images, and actually just try and focus, going, right, I'm going to come in, I'm going to build this exact thing. I'm going to do a pumpkin because it's Halloween, and you just do that as a thing. It takes practice.
And so for anyone listening to this, because I'm mind blown, I love learning about this stuff. Are there any kind of resources or any destinations that you would suggest for people to look at, or is it still a bit fragmented?
If anyone has an Oculus headset or a Quest or any kind of a VR headset and a half decent PC that can run it, just try it. You just dive in. And then if you take someone who is a professional artist and put them in this space, the things that they can create amazing art in 2D, but you put them in a 3D space and they really thrive.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So how transferable is it? Is it like, oh my God, this is so complex, I have to learn all these new tools? Or if you are a fantastic 2D or 3D artist, you're used to using software on a computer, to then kind of be in this immersed space, how transferable is it to you to be able to create in there? Or does it take a time to get used to the technology?
It does take a bit of time. Definitely, there's a learning curve. I'm still getting to grips with little things, even now, and I've been doing it for 6 months to a year, where I've been really trying to learn these tools, because they are very different from your 2D UI. Right, I'll go over to here and click this button to do this. It's all on your hands, and being able to navigate. And there are many ways to actually model something. There's different approaches. So in something like Gravity Sketch, you can use a series of surfaces and you actually just draw the surfaces on, or you can start with a box and you can start to subdivide that box and add geometry and loops and then start pulling the shapes into place. And with Oculus Medium, you would, Adobe Medium, you can actually just paint a circle in midair and then start sculpting into it. So there's many different approaches. I like to do quite straight things and quite linear, smooth things in Gravity Sketch first, and then take them into Medium to then sculpt and actually play around with those and do that there. But
amazing. Looking at kind of all the effects that you've created, do you have one that's a favorite or a standout?
The next one I'm working on. It's always the way. I always find little things, I could have done that a bit better or done that a little bit better. I do quite like one audio reactive effect. So there's one particular sculpture that reacts to your microphone audio, but it's also got like 7 rings that are actually reacting to the different channels of sound. So if you're playing music on your speakers, it will react differently. And I really want to play around with that. That sculpture changes, and that sculpture is unique based on its microphone input or the song that you play it. So it's ephemeral, it's different. You know, that sculpture is only there whilst you're recording your screen. And then as soon as you stop using that filter, it's gone. It's gone forever. You'll never see the same 2 things again, unless you play the same music. But even then, there's ambient noise. You know, there's all sorts of things that can go into it. So yeah, and effects that allow people to customize it. People love to be able to play with it, mix it up, do their own versions. They're more likely to share if they can make it their own. Definitely.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you've seen that as obviously a huge trend within fashion about customization and personalization. So, you know, taking that type of insight and applying it to AR effects is smart. So I'm not surprised that kind of won the hearts of Gucci when they saw that effect you created. In terms of kind of just top tips, you know, for creators, whether they're getting into AR or to VR, what would just be some quick tips that you would say to anyone looking to start?
Oh, just dive in. Like, it's free software to try. There are plenty of, you know, alternatives to Photoshop, or, you know, free trials. Just dive in, start creating. There are tons of YouTube tutorials online. I started learning 3D modeling software through YouTube videos. It was, you know, in architecture school, it was, oh, that's really cool. How do I do that? Download the software, follow some tutorials, learn how to do it, and then adapt and add your own flair, add your own input and experiences, and what you feel is right, and just experiment. Just take the time to sit there and just practice and put in, even if you don't really quite feel like it, I'll just do a quick 10-minute sketch in whether it's 2D, VR, whatever, just dive in. Just give it a go.
Absolutely. Nothing better than doing.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I mean, you kind of touched on it briefly, but for you personally, what are you super excited or curious about? It doesn't have to be crazy in the future, but like, I know you're looking forward to your next effect, but it's just in terms of the industry or the market, or something that you're really curious or excited about.
Yeah, I'm super excited for things that are coming. So potentially, people being able to join you in an augmented reality experience. You know, AR is good. You can share it, but if you're in an effect and a friend can join and interact and walk around that experience, you know, you're both and interacting with audio or those assets and objects in that world would be fantastic. Again, looking more towards creativity and customization and making its own. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And just, I think for the future in general, as more and more people and brands are getting on board and wanting to push the boundaries for each effect that they do, they want to better the last one. And I think that is pushing the industry forwards and really helping to create high quality effects, and just really creating some fantastic stuff for the future. Like, there's just going to be so much, it's miniaturizing the game engines, things that the game engines could do before, you know, just being able to do those now. And I think the future will have different aspects of your the world around you. You'll be able to just swipe on different filters, go to a location and look at different artistic impressions of a space. You know, take Trafalgar Square and say if Daniel Arsham or whatever would just, here's his version of that space.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
That would just be great. So.
Amazing. And lastly, how can people find you? What's your Instagram handle and website?
Sure. So they can find me at CSA Venables. So that's Venables, and that's Instagram. And then also, so you've got csvstudio.co.uk as well.
Fantastic. Well, that's all we have time for today. But Christian, it's been absolutely amazing to speak with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. I'm definitely going to check out some of that VR creative stuff. But yeah, thank you, and look forward to speaking again soon.
And thank you very much for this opportunity. It's been great. I just love talking about this stuff.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, yeah, super interesting. And yeah, thank you.